Praise the Lord. This is part two. Part two, because I kind of messed up in closing it out. And so, Jesus always knew in advance of the trap, did not fall into it. But, of course, by his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, he was able easily to get out of the trap because of who he was. He was God in the flesh. The woman that had been brought unto him had been taken in adultery. Obviously, one thing that is missing is the man that was guilty too. Only a woman was brought. Why was that? It was, as far as the Pharisees go, a way to test Jesus, since the man was not brought into the crowd. That person might have been even one of the Pharisees that was accusing the woman, or maybe one of the crowd that was watching. The question is, where was the man? This is the reason why people that read the storyline know something is not right. It was probably a setup, and a setup for the woman that had fallen into the trap. But Jesus did not fall into the trap. He delivered not only the woman, but for himself. Deliverance meant deliverance for everyone else that followed him. Thus the Pharisees wanted the judgment of Jesus, not because they respected his word, but it was one way to see how he would respond, and then later dealing with it in the way that they could if he answered incorrectly. But if he was able to get out of it, they would not have any recourse. And he did, obviously. Jesus, on the other hand, respected not only the woman, but also the Pharisees by not accusing them in front of anyone, though he could have. As a man, he didn't. The Spirit of God did, but they could not hear the Spirit of God, the people, that is, the ones that were listening. The only ones that could hear what the Spirit of God was saying, or the conscience of these people, was the Pharisees that had accused her in any case. So they had felt the accusation coming at them, but that was from their innermost beings. Verse 4 says, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. And we would say that is an act of the Pharisees. They knew they were setting up a trap. Their conscience was already at work in trying to let them know that they were doing wrong. The Spirit of God likewise must have been dealing with their hearts, but they were very hard at hearing towards both the conscience, their own consciences, and towards the Spirit of God. They justified their actions on account of their unbelief in Jesus, and that was their sole purpose, to get him killed. And it could have gone that way, but Jesus' words would not bow to their ignorance. Verse 5 says, Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou? So when they said, What sayest thou? This was their cue. Hey, what do you say? You better make it right. Jesus did not have to question them all. In a court of law, of course, there would be questions, there would be answers, there would be more questioning, answers. Jesus did not have to go through that at all. Jesus knew from the beginning. He already knew what's going on. Usually in such a regard, there would be that questioning because of a lack of information. They had brought to him such scant details about the situation. And for anybody else, they would need more details, and they would probably fall into the trap. But Jesus never did. Had he questioned them, it is possible that it would have been leaked out that they were not doing that which was righteous in their actions. However, the Spirit would be the one that would deal with their hearts, consciences, and minds. Jesus, as a man, would only respond that which the Spirit had given him, in keeping him away from those types of accusation, for that was not his purpose. His purpose, obviously, was different. Jesus did do some action there, though, and it was written also for our learning. In other words, he was writing on the dust or the dirt, which could be easily erased. That points to the fact that people's actions can be erased before God, before his judgment, or before the judgment in the end, can be easily erased. However, in regards to the law of Moses, it was written on tablets of stone, which means that that is written, and it will always continue to be that way. It is against the law to do certain things, and one of them was not to commit adultery, of course. So that cannot be erased, obviously. Thus, the action of it could be removed in regards to a person not being guilty because of mercy, but the law could not be changed. It remained the same. The law was written in stone so that throughout the ages it would remain the same. The actions of the persons, however, could be removed. In other words, that they could be forgiven or forgotten in the sight of God, be given mercy, something that he himself would do for mankind. This woman was, in essence, the first in that instance that she had received pardon when it was not supposed to be, according to them. The one who pardoned her, though, was the same one who had taken his finger and had written the law on tablets of stone. But now he was writing the dirt or the sand, and that was the action of the person. In other words, it could be erased. In all actuality, Jesus had already decided what he was planning to do before them by writing on the dirt or the sand. Yet he had never told them directly what he had judged, for all of them had laughed before his judgment had come forth. He basically told them, "He that is without sin first cast the stone." But he didn't tell them what his judgment was concerning her. Therefore, when they had asked him, "What sayest thou?" he was writing on the ground an erasable thing, and that was basically his answer. He would be forgiving of her. But then he had told her, after they had all left, that he did not accuse her. In other words, he had forgiven her for her adultery committed, and that which in the eyes of God would never be used against her in his courts. Yet some may question the man, where is he, and did he get the same eraser? That is a question. If he would have come before Jesus and said he's sorry and please forgive me, everything would have been fine. But one questions what happened to the man. Of course, in eternity we'll find out. May God bless you today, in Jesus' name.